Now it's time to start a discussion about arrays, but first let's create a new project. I'm gonna call it arrays. For the language, select Java. For the build system, IntelliJ. Make sure to have the JDK version 17 here selected. And I'm gonna keep this checked, add sample code to have the main class and the main function generated for us. So click on create. Alright, now our project is created. Let's open our main class. Let's push this on the next line, and let's delete this code because we don't need this system.out.println. Now, what are arrays? Arrays allows you to store multiple values in a variable without declaring separate variables for each value. So, to declare an array, we type first the type. So, what kind of data you want to store in this array? Let's say that I want to store numbers, so I'll type int. And after the int, you put square brackets. And then we give a name to our array. Let's say that I'm gonna call it numbers. Then I'm gonna put equals, and we're gonna put curly braces, and inside the curly braces we put our elements of type int separated by comma. So I'll put here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, let's use other numbers. So I'm gonna put 12, 15, 60, 100, 200, 30, 50. Alright, so now we have an array of integers stored in this variable numbers. Now, how we can print those values in the console? We can use a for each in this case, but I'm going to show you also how to use the classic for later. But let's first print it with a for each. So we type for, we put parentheses, and we type here int number colon in numbers. So for every number in numbers, in our numbers array from above, we're going to add SOUT, we're going to print the number. So now if you run this, we have our numbers displayed in the console, so everything works fine. Now, one very important thing to know is that the index of the, so our elements, our integers, or our elements more generally, are stored at indexes, and the index of the elements is starting at 0. So 12 is at the index 0. So if I want to print the value, let's say 15, I need to type here SOUT, and I will type numbers, then square brackets, and now we need to use the index where that specific number is, and the index of 15 is 1. So if I run this, we get 15 because it's this line of code is getting the value which is stored at the index 1. And if we want another value, put here, let's say 3. So if you run this, we get in the output 100. Also, another thing that you can do with arrays is that you can get the length of the array. So I can type here a classical for loop. So I'll type for, and you can create this for I. You have this suggestion, and it's gonna generate for you all the necessary code. So if I press enter, as you can see, it generated all the necessary code. So for I int, if I press tab, it moves to the condition. And I'm gonna put the condition numbers, and you can get the length of this array. So if I put length and press again tab, and here I will type SOUT, and I will print I in the console. Not I. We're gonna print numbers that I. So we are going to get the numbers at the index I, but as you'll see, we'll have a problem with this code. So now if I run this, we don't have any problem, but if I put less than or equal to numbers that length, so now if I run that, Now we get an exception. It says index 7 out of bounds for length 7. So it's saying that because our elements are stored at indexes, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements, but the last index is 6, and when we put here for I is less than equal to numbers that length, we try to get the index, we try to get here the index 7 here in this line of code, and index 7 does not exist, so this is why we get this index 7 out of bounds for length 7. What we can do in this case, we can put less than without equal, and the code it will work, because it will get to the last element, and it will not go for the last index. Or you can put here less than or equal to numbers, but you can put here -1. So we're gonna subtract 1 from the length. So instead of having a number that length, let's say, which is 7, the length, we're gonna have 6, which is the index, the index of the last element. So now if I run this, we get on the output our numbers, and we can create another array. So I can go down here and I can type string square brackets to declare an array. I'm gonna call it names, or let's call it friends, and I'm gonna put equals, again curly braces, and here I'm gonna define some names. So let's say Maria, Alex, Bitta, Anna, John, Steve. Alright, let's put semicolon. So now we have another array of friends. Now if I want to loop through this array, I can use a for each. So I can use the for each, and I press enter. As you can see, actually let's press Ctrl G because I don't like the formatting. So for parenthesis, for here I'm gonna type the type string, for string, so we type here string, and I'm gonna type friend, colon, so for friend in friends, curly brace, left curly brace, and press enter to add the right curly brace or the closing curly brace, and I'm gonna type here SOUT friend, and now it's gonna display all of our names using the for each. So we get all of our names. So let's put actually a space between our code here. So let's put here print line, not print line, SOUT, and let's put question mark, and let's put backslash n. And that's gonna add the space between our two outputs, because we have two different outputs here. One from the numbers array, one from the numbers integers array, and one from the friends strings array. So as you can see, now we have a space which was added by this line of code. And you can output the values in the friends array using a classical for. So I can type here for, and we have the suggestion, choose this one, it will generate the for you. And I'm gonna put for I equals 0, I less than let's say friends dot length, and that is gonna return us the length of the array. So for friends dot length I plus plus, I'm gonna put tab again, then I'm gonna type here SOUT, and I will type friends, and I will get the index at each iteration. So I'm gonna put square brackets I, and that is gonna return us the element at this specific index. So first the I is gonna be 0, we'll get the element Maria, then I is gonna be incremented to 1 and we'll get Alex, then I is gonna be incremented again and we'll get bits, and so on until it reaches the last element, the condition fails, and the loop stops execution. So now if you run this, so we get our numbers, and then we get our names output in the console. So this is our discussion about arrays, and you can use arrays with all the primitive types that we talked about, and also with the string as you saw here. So I'm gonna end this video now and see you in the next video. But let me tell you one more thing about arrays. What you can also do with an array is that you can create here, let's say, another array. Let's call it, let's also an int. And we can put square brackets. Let's call it numbers 2. And what we can do here, you can type new int, and you can define here a size of, let's say, 7 elements or 5 elements. And now if you want to add elements in this array, you can add only 5 elements, but you can add them using indexes. So you type numbers 2 index 0 equals, and here you define an element, let's say 1, and you put semicolon. And if I press Ctrl D a few times, now let's change this to 1, 2, and 3, and let's change this to let's say 4, 5, sorry, 7, and let's say 10. So this is another way to assign value to our array. And here I passed 5. This is the size of the array. So if I try to put, let's say, another, I'll type numbers here again. Actually, let's press Ctrl D, again Ctrl D, again Ctrl D, and if you hover over, it says the overwritten array element variable is already assigned to this value. So let's delete this, and let's change now the index to 4, and let's put here 24. Let's type again numbers 2, and let's put square brackets, and I'm gonna put 5, and I will put equals to 100 semicolon, and now I'm gonna type the next index, which is 6, to see what happens. I'm gonna put index 6 equals, let's say, 45. Alright, so if you hover over the 5, it says, so let's hover over. Alright, so it says array index out of bounds, and it's saying that because here we defined only that we're gonna create an array with 5 elements, and we added more than 5 elements. So this is why it's saying array index out of bounds. So we cannot do that. So because we already have 5 elements here, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when we try to add here, let's press tab, numbers 2 and array 5 equals to, let's say, 9, immediately shows this warning, and it says array index is out of bounds, because we defined that we're going to put 5 elements, and if you count what the number of elements we have here, we have 6 elements. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and because the size is 5 and we put 6 elements, we get this warning. So this is good to know. And usually you will not assign values to arrays in this way. You'll use the curly braces, because is better. And you can also replace an element at an index. So you can use the index and you can put a different value in that index. Also, another important thing to mention is that after you created an array, so after, let's say, I created our numbers array, we cannot add new numbers in our array. Our array has a fixed size. So if I try to put here numbers, let's say, actually, I will not type the code, but if you try to put another element inside this array, it will not work, because if I type here numbers, and let's say that I want to put, let's say that I want to add something, and I call add, there is no add function for our array. Our arrays have fixed size, and the size is given by the number of elements that you passed here when you first created the array. And as you'll see in the future videos, we're gonna learn about arrays which can grow and shrink as you add elements to it. So that for now we're gonna use only those. So now I'm gonna end this video and see you in the next video.